It will not be easy. The path I walk has never been trod.
The traitor dragon may leap! Slain by King Regent!
We cannot challenge King's Landing without the Riverlands.
The realm will soon tear itself apart. If men do not remember the oath sworn to King Viserys and to his rightful heir.
I feel what I've begun. We must break the will of our enemy.
What's going on, everybody? And welcome back. You're listening to the For Your Consideration podcast. We got the whole crew back ready to review another episode of House of the Dragon. This time we are reviewing episode 5, Regent. And here, well, I should introduce myself. My name is Tyron.
Don't forget the
It's
Riz
forgotten.
All right,
Walker.
I kind of like that. This episode I was doing a little.
Ty Riz. Don't forget the Riz Walker. Is that better?
Yeah, I think she would
That's
appreciate
acceptable?
it. I think it's acceptable. This time though, I was in honor of us, reviewing House of the Dragon. I did give us sort of nicknames. So
This only took you 5 episodes.
I know. I thought about it earlier today, but
What's
my name-
mine?
I'm going to get to it. My name is Tyron, the Trustful. This is. Why are you laughing like that?
All right.
This is to my left here, helping me to break it all down, of course, is Danny, the Dependable. And
I'm not mad at that. You laugh. Why are you laughing so hard?
I know, I think these are pretty decent names.
I'm pretty
I'm
apropos
waiting-
here.
I'm waiting for mine.
Tamika, the Thoughtful.
No, you had Ty the Trustful, Danny the Dependable, and then
Tamika, the Thoughtful.
the Thoughtful, but it doesn't rhyme. Like yours is TT, his is DD.
Yours is also TT.
No, but it's TH.
Can't
No,
can't
we're not
win
gonna
for
go with that
trying.
logic.
Damn,
No, we're
I'm
not,
sorry.
because it's
I'm just-
TT, DD, TT. TTs. You got both test sets of TTs.
Yes, but you don't say thoughtful to thoughtful.
Well, okay, Tamika, what would you like to be called?
Tamika the Thoughtful is fine. I like it.
I swear, man, you can't win for trying, guys out here. It's rough. It's rough.
I think those names are very. Thank you. I appreciate my name, Tamika the Thoughtful. I like it.
Is
I also,
that our light of the seven gods?
well, I was mostly thinking about the Targaryen.
I got it.
Oh yeah, they do. Well, go ahead.
Tamika the Tantalizing.
No,
Okay, sorry.
that sounds like. I'm not gonna say it, but
That's
It sounds sexual.
it
Doesn't
does.
Yeah,
It
that's a
sounds
bit-
extremely sexual.
That's
I
a
didn't-
bit much.
That is.
Sorry, I didn't think about it until I heard it.
Yeah. Okay. But no, I was thinking about Targaryen kings because they have Maegor the Cruel and
yeah.
Aegon the Unworthy and Aegon the Conqueror, and
I feel like we need negative connotations then.
but none of us really have negative connotations. I was thinking about what houses, based on our personalities, we would actually fit in.
Mm-hmm.
So for myself, I came up with the High Garden and the Tyrells. I think I would fit in pretty well there. They're out there in the Reach. Ain't nothing much going on out there.
It's like melancholy out there.
It is, but they played the Game of Thrones extremely well. I think
they did.
they did. I think me and Alina would have some really good conversations and get along pretty well. And no one expects anything out of them. No one's expected, Marjorie to be really good.
Yeah,
at, playing the game.
Yeah.
For you, I came up with the Tullys. Come on, man.
The fish people, great.
Edmure and the Blackfish.
I'm offended. I mean, what's Tamika? I'm curious.
Tamika,
now.
I put in. I said she's in Dorne. I think she's Dornish.
I don't know what that means.
the worst plot in season 5, guys.
That was the worst plot in season 5. But her
So you got the only good one, great.
No, her personality says she would be a part of the in Dorne because they're They're chilling on the beach in the middle of nowhere. No one's bothering them. They're sitting on the ocean. They live free, spirited lives.
Never mind. I still don't know what we're talking about.
I'd rather be like the Greyjoy or something.
See, I didn't want to put negative houses out there for us. Like the Greyjoys, I mean, they're reapers, man. They're sowers. They go around just.
Maybe that's my vibe, man.
I guess, man. I
don't
really
want to be the fish people. I'm sorry. I don't want to be the fish people, the fish gods.
I did have an honorable.
Greyjoys kind of makes sense. He is a hater of Christmas.
So I guess his heart is gray.
Yeah.
No joy.
Great.
Makes sense.
That's hey. There you go.
Tariq, I didn't say she's an honorary Targaryen, not because minus all the incest and all that stuff, but but what I'm saying is I can see her like riding a dragon. Well, yeah, I can see her like riding a dragon. Like I can see her like really being into it. And
thank you. I think so too.
Yeah.
I see myself being Rhaenyra's best friend. Not really, but
I think I would probably might get along a little bit. And then I also said me and House Stark. But
how many times you can hit that microphone?
I don't know, man, because I'm not used to it being actually here. But I did say honorary member of like House Stark just because, well, I think I possess a lot of qualities, but the whole long night thing and the White Walkers. And,
got it.
That pretty much took me.
I agree with all of those.
Took me out of the running there, but
I like it. I like it very much.
All right.
But we're gonna start breaking down this episode, and we're gonna go in sort of non-chronological order. We're just gonna go sort of in order of appearance this episode. So we're gonna start with Corlys this episode because he's really the first character that we see. He is on Driftmark, and of course he's mourning the loss of Rhaenys. Later on in the episode, he gets a visit from his granddaughter Baela, who was sent there by Rhaenyra, who gives Baela a box to give to him. They have a conversation, and he's basically, reminiscing on the fact that he wasn't really present there as much as he would have liked to be, as a husband to Rhaenys. And of course, Baela responds in saying that she was more than just like basically your wife. She was, she was a Targaryen princess. She was the queen that never was.
She was everything to us.
Yeah. And she and Corlys is so moved by this sort of pep talk that she's given him, that he offers her, he wants her to be the heir of Driftmark. And she responds by saying, you know what? I am fire and blood. It should go to someone who is of salt and sea, which brings up the question. Do you think, two questions here, because in that box, it's the hand of the, in this case, it'll be the hand of the queen. It's that, is it a brooch? I don't know what the heck you would call it.
I think it is a brooch.
Yeah, brooch that the hand of the king wears. So, two questions here. I guess we're all assuming that Corlys is going to accept the position of being hand of the queen. So do you think he's going to make a good hand of the queen? Because I thought Rhaenys actually, even though not entitled, served as a good hand of the queen. And two, do you think he is going to bestow one of his bastard sons as heir to Driftmark, potentially later in the season?
Yeah, I think he needs to do that. Because that's the whole thing that Baela tried to tell him, and Rhaenyra last episode before she tragically passed, also told him, hey, those are your sons. Essentially told him, those are your sons. They need to be involved with your land and with your legacy, essentially. So yeah, he will do that. Because I think this pep talk, like you said, with Baela really changed his mindset on that. For sure. Actually, probably more than Rhaenyra's pep talk. Or both of them combined, probably, obviously. And what was the second?
Well, I was going to say, do you think he's going to make a good hand to Rhaenyra?
Absolutely. He's a sea snake, man. He's a sea snake.
He's a sea snake. That's all we need to know. He's a sea snake.
But he's like a war general.
He is. He is sort of, he can go and we'll talk about Aemon later in the episode. But unlike Daemon, who's sort of impulsive, he can sort of strategize and go mind for mind against Aemon, I believe. And I think he's going to garner the respect from the council, the council that Rhaenyra is, struggling to gain trust from. His voice is going to carry a lot of weight in that room. And I think, like Rhaenys, they're strong leaders, between Corlys and Rhaenys. And I think, Rhaenyra, just by her asking, shows that how much respect that she has for him and value that she has for him to offer him that position. And of course, I do also think that eventually, I don't know which son is going to be because he has 2 bastard sons. What is it going to be?
The one who saved his life?
I would say probably more Alan was more likely.
And he's older, no?
Yeah, I think so. But I do think eventually somewhere in this season or potentially next season that we'll see him build a relationship with those 2 and build a bond and closeness that eventually he'll offer the heir to one of them.
Yeah. And she's getting a total tactician, which they absolutely need right now.
Yeah, for sure. So staying in the family, we finally catch up with Rhaena.
Whole different meaning for Daemon. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we are going to get to that. Staying in the family, we do finally catch up with Rhaena, who is in the Vale. We actually haven't seen her. Did we see her last episode? No, we haven't seen her last episode. But if you were, she is in the Vale, and one of my favorite lines from Game of Thrones is when Bronn is talking to Tyrion, and Tyrion is like, the Vale is impregnable. And Bronn says, "Give me a few good men and I'll impregnate the bitch." And that's one of my favorite lines from Game of Thrones. But anyways, Baela is speaking with Lady Jane Eyre, who's in charge of the Vale during this time period. And if you recall, Rhaenyra sent her along with 3 dragon eggs, right? 3 dragon eggs, or was it 4?
I think it was 3.
Okay. So 2 of those dragon eggs she's going to exchange for an army in the Vale. But those dragons haven't hatched yet, which the lady is a little upset about, because obviously, what if Vhagar decides, or Vhagar and Aemon decides to attack the Vale? They're sort of left and open because they don't have a dragon to protect them. Mm-hmm. And she's also a little in her feelings, and before the conversation ends, she sort of throws out a little she tells Baela that her grandmother passed away, and then you can clearly tell that Baela did not know that she had passed away. But then she just walks away, like she's cold-blooded, like cold-hearted, just like drops the mic and like dips out. But I was saying to myself, like, during this whole season so far, that Baela is sort of has gone through a lot, and like people aren't like really talking about it. Like, she lost her dragon to Aemon. Remember, she was the one that was originally going to claim Vhagar. Her mother's dragon, she can't claim a dragon. She gets shipped away. She's, in my eyes, she's sort of viewed as kind of not useless, but like, what can she actually do in this fight? Because she can't mount a dragon. So she's shipped away to the Vale to help, broker this deal. And she's just been through a lot, and I feel like no one in the show is like sort of recognizing what she's sort of going through up until this point.
Her last name might as well be Rhaena Pale Hair, because they're treating her like the bastard child that never. I don't know. I mean, you laid it out all. Laid it all out. Excuse me.
Yeah,
that
I
was
agree.
some Yoda shit.
Also, I don't think the woman realized that she didn't know that Rhaenys was dead.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, I think. Well, no. I think that Jane knew that Baela didn't know. I think she purposely sort of said it the way that she did, and it dipped off.
Oh, really?
Because
You think so? Because the way she said is like, I'm sorry to hear about your grandmother, as if she already knows.
no, I don't think Bella doesn't know. Like if you look at her reaction,
No,
then
I know,
oh,
I
okay.
know. I'm saying the way the woman said it. It was like, oh, I'm sorry to hear about your grandmother. And yes, she did walk away even the way she said it was very callous. But I didn't get any inkling that she was being facetious. She was callous, but I didn't get that she was being like, trying to break the news. Like, oh, by the way, your grandmother's dead. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that your grandmother. I'm sorry to hear about your grandmother.
Also staying in a family, where Jace is sort of has been sidelined for most of the season. I mean, he's all revved up trying to hop on a dragon and go, smoke something out. But he finally has this idea of going to the phrase and to strike this deal, because the Starks are coming and they need they don't need a narrow. They need a straight line pathway into the Riverlands, and there's this bridge.
That's the only path.
Yeah, that's the only path. Well, there's other ways, but for miles and miles it would take them out of the way to get there.
Yeah.
So the only way to do it is to cross this bridge at the Twins, and this is Frey territory. So Jace goes there to strike a deal with them, and basically saying, in exchange for the Starks crossing this bridge, we will protect you, and Daemon will also protect you. And they offer, and they also kneel and they pledge their allegiance to Rhaenyra's cause. Now, if you recall, the Greys were the culprits behind the Red Wedding, which for many of us is one of the more memorable moments of Game of Thrones. So the question here being, and while I believe it is a good strategy, I'm just not sure if you want to be in business with making promises to the phrase, especially ones that you might not be able to keep. What say you, Dan?
They need it. They don't have a choice.
They do need it. But I agree. Even in the moment, I was just like, they look sketch. Like they don't.
That's the whole point. And then they're trying to buy him more food.
Yeah, and then to make promises regarding Daemon was really presumptuous.
Yeah, I mean, especially since we know how much of a wild card Daemon is. That's why for me, I don't know how it's gonna. I feel like there are two plans, and we'll get to the other plan regarding Rhaenyra and dragons that I feel like can potentially blow up in their faces. And this is one of them because of who you're dealing with and the family that you're dealing with, and the promise that you made to them not working out, and what are could potentially be the consequences of you not holding up your end of the bargain, as we have seen, in the episode of the Red Wedding and and Game of Thrones, that they don't play around. They about that life. So if you don't hold up your end of the bargain, that more than likely some people will suffer the consequences for that.
But this is generations beforehand. Do you think there could be some goodwill on their end? Because that's generations before the Red Wedding.
Well, I just think in general, when you talk about the phrase, I'm just saying as a viewer, your mind sort of just automatically goes to
there.
to that. So even though even though it is generations before, it's still in the back of your mind that this was a family that, well, at least in the future, does go on to kill, Rob's rebellion, in his march to King's Landing. So I think they purposely are putting that out there for us, knowing that we as the viewer are going to automatically think that there could be something potentially nefarious going on here, and could actually come through to fruition.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
I do
but-
think it's very precarious.
What are you about to say?
I was just gonna say they need the Riverlands, especially what happens later.
That's true. That's true.
They need an ally in the Riverlands. So as much as I actually did think about that, that's the first thing my mind went to as well. I was just like, they really don't have a choice. They really don't. They need this. They need the Riverlands, man.
Yeah. So,
And especially after Daemon effed it up, man. Oh god.
well, no, yeah, we're gonna jump into Daemon. That's the next topic I have here on my list. So, sticking with the blacks, Daemon is still going off that polyjuice potion for all my potheads and muggles out there.
I don't know. I don't
Polyjuice potion? No,
I don't know. No.
Tamika, you get the reference. Though.
Yes.
Yeah, he's going off that polyjuice potion. But
My muggle mind can't.
hey man,
comprehend.
you watched the movie, so
And they were trash.
Watch it. Watch it.
so he's still having visions. He's still having trouble deciphering, what's real or not. The woods witch is like doing a number on him. On top of that, he wants people to call him king, and he thinks that him and Rhaenyra should rule as king and queen. And I'm going to start with the most obvious thing that people are going to be talking about, and that is the sexual encounter he has with his mom, the fellatio scene where she takes him to Splash Town.
That's worse than sloppy jalopy for sure.
No. Okay. What y'all just be making stuff up.
So do you. Don't even like you haven't done so in the past. God,
So he took his mother to Splash Town, or
Splash
took him.
Town.
well, she took him to Splash Town, probably not the other way around.
Very disturbing. Either I didn't even know who it was. I didn't know who it was until obviously they said.
Yeah, well,
I think that was the point.
because I couldn't
Yeah.
remember if they showed her last season.
Well, they've never. This is the first time we've actually seen her on camera, on
Okay.
screen.
Okay. Yeah.
So, what do you think that this is saying about? What do you think this dream is saying about a Daemon?
That he's a freak. That we already knew.
Beyond that, taking the fact that he's having sex with his mom. I
But
mean, which
did
is
he-
funny because like the Targaryens are known for their incestuous ways, but ironically, we have never actually seen a
mother son.
yeah, mother-son or father-daughter relationship. I guess that's a step too far for them in incest.
Did he know his mother?
No, she died in childbirth, didn't she?
Well,
That's
she
what-
died. He was two. He was 2 when she died. So if he does remember, it's very little.
But that's
She
what
died in child. She didn't die in childbirth. They have another brother. His name is Balon, and she died from complications of that birth.
Well, the point I was going to get to is he seemed taken aback himself when she said my son or whatever.
Mm.
Like he seemed a little taken aback. Like he didn't, like he was just enthralled with this woman, not realizing that it was his, what's the word?
His mother.
An apparition of his mother.
Oh,
So, but to me, in that moment, it seemed like it was almost like validation of her, because it's like, okay, did she actually feel this way? Or are you trying to convince yourself that it would have been preferred that you were born first?
oh, that's what she says, right? It's too bad that you weren't.
Yeah,
born
exactly.
first.
Yeah.
Right. But
Just
did
a
he
little late.
actually feel that way? Or, is it coming from his own,
I mean, yeah, obviously it comes from a point of jealousy.
entitlement?
Well, I think it's more jealousy of his older brother. He still has this, complex about him. And I was still trying to connect it with the mother thing. That's where I'm like,
Yeah, I
because
get
obviously
that.
it explains kind of his woman issues, I guess, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, no, I think so there are two things here. One, I think he just seeks validation. He wants validation from his mom.
Right.
But there's also resentment towards Viserys being born first. There's also resentment towards Rhaenyra as well. There's also this connection between his mom and the death of Rhaenys, because Meleys was originally his mother's dragon. And so that's where the tie-in is, because then eventually Rhaenys ends up claiming Meleys after her death. And so they just recently passed away, and it's, you know, in the previous episode. So yes, there's that connection there. The other important part that takes
So
place.
is it guilt then?
Guilt in what sense?
Of Rhaenyra's, because they share the same dragon blood. She's gone. Does he know she's gone? Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. So she's gone. Is there somewhat a way of guilt because they share the same dragon? I don't know.
No, I can see where you're going with that. No, I think that I think in a weird way this is also sort of Daemon mourning in his own way, because we don't actually see him mourn the death of Rhaenys at all. Like all the other characters, we see them visibly mourn her death, whereas we don't actually see him do that. And I think in a weird way, through his mom, there's a connection there that this is his way of sort of a very odd way of sort of missing her and missing Rhaenys. That's how I sort of piece it all together.
All right, guy. Well,
he's a weird guy. He's a weird guy. But also, you know, too, I think a lot of this has to do with the fact that Harrenhal is haunted. You have the Woods Witch there. You know, reality. Another big part of it is the fact that that Daemon loses all support in the Riverlands, essentially with his with him and William's decision to try and you know, hijack and, you know, kidnap the women and children of the Brackens in order to get them to
well, even
to switch
before
sides.
that, like, what an error was to bring him at first when they first met with the Brackens. You bring a Blackwood there and you expect them.
Oh yeah. Of course, that was a huge mistake. Then.
Huge mistake. What are you even thinking? You're not thinking. And once again, this is the Harrenhal curse, like, because no rational person would be like, "Oh yeah, come with me. We'll make sure he bends the knee, or they bend the knee." No, not gonna happen. It's the Brackens.
Of course, I mean, I completely agree. Completely irrational decision to bring him along and expect them to like bend the knee in front of him, and also just. I also want to give them a lot of credit for turning their backs to Syraxes when he's threatening to burn them alive, and they stood on business, you know, they're like, we're willing to go out, you know.
Great shot, by the way.
Yeah, great shot,
really good.
Yeah, really great shot. And then in the very next scene, we see them sort of plotting, and you see Daemon sort of being surprised that they would be willing to die.
I didn't think they would want to die.
Yeah,
so
like,
much. What's wrong with them?
Yeah. But he's like, hold on, I got something for y'all. I'm gonna kidnap your children, your wives, and we're gonna hold them ransom until you bend the knee for me, not for Rhaenyra, but for me.
We saw how that worked out.
Which if they ain't gonna do that for Rhaenyra, why would they do that for you?
Yeah,
bro?
exactly.
You kidding me?
And so the River Lords are upset. Like, they have a line that they're not willing to cross, that Daemon is. And I think that, you know, this is going to turn a lot of the houses that he was hoping to get support from against him. And you know, I think there's going to be repercussions for that.
Were you going to say something?
No, I was just thinking, like, I just feel like this is Daemon's MO. Like, whenever he tries to force things and then it ends up biting him in the butt. And it's like, can you just set your pride aside and just sit down
No, he has to be called the king.
Yeah.
But Sir Simon says consort.
And I think I'm putting it in a group chat. I was like, you notice that Sir Simon is always interrupting like Daemon's dreams, or he's always coming in at the wrong moment. Like
bring him back to reality.
Yeah.
He has no reality
respect
here.
for him. He literally is just like, I'm being nice to you because I have to be nice to you because of your title, but I have no. He clearly has no respect for this man.
Right.
And the funniest line, I don't know if it was right after when Daemon was having a dream about his mom, or if it would happen later in the episode. But he busts in the door. It was when the River Lords were coming to see him.
Yeah,
and he's like, the River Lords are here. I don't know if that's exactly what he said. The River Lords are here. Oh, well, he busted in the door and he's like, "What is it, Lord?" Simon, and he's like, "The pudding is the pudding ready?" And I thought that was I thought it was a hilarious line. David has like some one-liners.
He's always barging in his room though. It's like
exactly like.
But even like in that scene with the Brackens, once again we see Rhaena. So we don't know if he's like, we don't know if this is like reality or he's having another dream again, because he's like hallucinating in the middle of this.
Right. And I was also wondering, and maybe I'm late to the game, but when he was having,
because it's Game of Thrones. Sorry,
I got it. When they were having a conversation, and again Simon comes in, it dawned on me then that I'm like, is she only appearing to him? Like, because whenever they have conversations, mind you, she'll walk into the room, but she doesn't speak to anybody ever. And then when they are talking, it's only them two. And then as soon as somebody else comes in, like Simon stepped in, and it's like he looked, but it didn't look like he was acknowledging her. It looked like who are you talking to?
That is actually a really good point. I didn't notice it, but now that you mentioned it, like you are right. It could be he's hallucinating. Wait, he could be hallucinating her, but I think that when he first got there, Sir Simon did mention her by name, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't think she's not real.
Okay.
I just think I'm wondering if she's only appearing to him for some reason or other. Like in a private, like.
Well, I think
she grounds him. I think that's Rhaena's the only person that can bring him back, kind of.
I know. I thought we were talking about the Woods Witch for a second. That's
were we talking about Alice?
Yeah. Wait, who were you talking about?
I thought we were talking about Rhaena.
No.
Because he keeps hallucinating Rhaena.
Oh, yeah, Rhaena too. Well, yeah, but
I think
that's
Alice
obvious.
is totally there. I think
Alice is totally there.
No, I think Alice is there, but she's a witch. So I just feel like when Simon came in, it looked like he didn't even see her. Like it was. Right. It seems strange.
Well,
to
isn't
me.
that true? Like for most women in this show, that they are. Realistically, they're more often seen and not heard type of thing.
Right.
That's how I sort of like take it.
We'll get to that. Yeah. I just want. Rhaena is interesting to me. Why he keeps seeing her specifically, and I think
he actually loved her, right?
I think that's probably the only woman that he. I think he loves Rhaenyra, but I think he sees her more as like a kid, because whenever we see her, she whenever he has visions of Rhaenyra, it's always as her as Millie Alcock, so it's never her as a full grown adult. I think Rhaena, right? I think he has tremendous regret for how she passed away, how she died. I think that could be part of. I think that's why we're seeing her. I think it's because he has a lot of regret for one, how she passed away, which was Rhaegar essentially, lighting her on fire when she was having complications from the baby, and also the fact that he never, and Rhaenys sort of mentioned this, I think in episode 1, that he never sent word of her passing. Well, it was only through Raven that he didn't go in person to like deliver the news to her in person. And I think he sort of viewed it as cowardly. Internally, I think he views it as being cowardly a little bit.
Yeah, I think why I bring it up is that she seems to pop up, and maybe it's just me. She seems to pop up when he's morally effed something up. Maybe that's just me. I don't know. But like the decision to, F up the Brackens, they come back. Obviously, there's terrible consequences because they're not going to get those lands now. So, and she came, it's like he saw her right then and there, and it was like, oh, you effed up. And I feel like for him, she may be a guide to better decision making. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. It's just funny the way she pops up at certain moments. Yeah.
I'll have to start paying more attention in that aspect.
The way you just said that one sentence, like I have to start paying more attention.
No, I mean it's just kind of to try and identify a pattern.
Yeah, no, I think
there's so much going on.
Right.
Yeah, the stuff with him. Well, what's interesting is that the stuff with Daemon at Harrenhal did not actually transpire in the books. This is all new stuff.
Right.
So we're all learning this stuff in real time, and they've deviated from the book in that regard. So for a lot of people, this is all sort of surprising stuff that we're all figuring it all out together, as opposed to people who have read the books who are out there online just dropping spoilers, left and right.
I'm still bitter about that, I guess.
I am. I'm sorry.
Okay.
All right. So speaking of Rhaenyra, we're now going to transition to Dragonstone and the happenings that are happening there. So basically, this whole episode for me regarding Rhaenyra is her weighing the options of actually acting and going into battle and wanting to fight and wanting to hop on her dragon and rage war and be seen as like this leader that men will want to follow. But she's also saying to herself that she doesn't really have the experience to do that. And the one person that does is in Harrenhal, basically undermining her and wanting to be called a king. And then on the other hand, we see her talking and getting counsel from the White Worm, who's like, there are other ways to win a war. And, she mentions the fact that at King's Landing that they were parading around Maely's head. It was not seen as like this victorious moment for the Greens. For a lot of townspeople, they sort of viewed it as a bad omen.
I think they specifically call it black omen.
Oh, black omen.
Somebody specifically said that.
Yeah, specifically a black omen. And they sort of view this as sort of Rhaenyra was going to essentially
she gonna bust your asses up, boy.
Get her.
Seriously, that's how they were. It was like, oh, you.
Yeah,
but they also realized, dragons are not like that's the perfect line. Like, dragons are not gods.
But I also think it's a matter of like seeing like Rhaenyra is not going to let this slide, and you just put us all in danger because we are all now subject to whatever wrath she's going to set forth.
But in Rhaenyra talking to the White Worm, she is saying we can use these townspeople and turn them against,
change their perception.
Change their perception. We've seen thus far that there are a lot of people who, even though they may be on siding with the Greens because of work, where they at, their allegiances are still with Rhaenyra. She has a lot of people that are on her side in King's Landing. So why don't we use that to your advantage? So she kind of has it both ways. She has the White Worm giving her advice and saying this is a way that we can win a war, but she's also talking to Jace, and they're like, hey, look, we got all these dragons here. We don't have enough riders. What can we do to circumvent this, this problem that we're having? And they say, yeah, you know what? Let's look through the history books and see see our lineage here and see our family tree and see who we can dig up to become dragon riders. Now, the thing with that, which is interesting, is it's still uncertain. Do the Targaryens actually control dragons or not? So the thing is, one, if they do control dragons, wouldn't these outstanding family members blood be so diluted that they can't actually control dragons? There's a lot of mystery behind dragons. If you go deeper into it, it's like, where did dragons come from? A lot of people think that it was these witches from Masai and they brought these dragons. It's really interesting stuff if you go further into it about dragons and how they end up controlling them. But I do think there are these two plans here, and I'm sort of curious to see how they sort of play out. I
think it's interesting you say that because like you brought up last season how Aemond basically stole Vhagar from Rhaena. It was supposed to be Rhaena's dragon. And it really just says, like, I think the dragons are really just picking you. Whoever, it's like a dog. Whoever they sniff and they F with, that's who they go with. So it probably doesn't matter that you have the full blood of the dragon,
That's true. This really has nothing to do with House of the Dragon, but have you heard of the Fourth Wing and Iron Flame? They're like novels written by Rebecca Yarros. Anyway, doesn't matter. The point is that the premise is these are dragon riders, and kind of to the point, it's along the same lore, is that dragons, we don't necessarily understand why dragons choose their particular riders, and because just like us, they all have different personalities, so they may be attracted to different aspects. So to Danny's point, it may not be just the fact that you have blood or full blood. You could have like just a smidgen of blood in there, and that's enough. And as long as you have like the integrity or whatever it is that dragon is particularly looking for that matches their own, then that allows them to bond. The fact that this dragon is so like large and fierce, he might have just been attracted to Aemon just by the fact of he's like brutal, like just doesn't care.
I think I read somewhere that they were both sort of mourning at the time, and so it made like a good match between Vhagar, because Vhagar had just he just set Baela on fire.
That's true.
Around this time.
That's true.
And
but Aemon just lost his eye.
Yeah, Aemon just lost his eye. So I guess it was kind of like,
did that happen before? After?
No, it happened before.
It happened before.
Yeah, didn't he lose his eye before mounting?
No, I think he lost his eye. I thought he lost. I don't remember. I really don't remember. But
I'm pretty
thought
sure
that
he had
was
lost his eye already. I could be wrong.
But
I could be wrong.
No, I don't know. I really don't remember. But what was the reason? It wasn't. I'm in my head. I'm like, isn't that the reason why Homie attacked Aemon in the first place? Was because of the whole dragon thing?
I think
and
so.
Like,
wasn't it?
You're talking about Luke?
Yeah, Luke.
Whoever took his eye.
Well, I know he had been, sensitive about it since then. Yeah. I mean, you lose an eye, somebody's gonna feel some type of way about it. But I don't think Vhagar, Aemon just sort of lost control of Vhagar in that moment. I think as you alluded to, and as we've been talking about, these dragons are animals, and so yeah, I mean, they have dragon riders. They throw the eggs in the cradle with these babies, and they expect them to bond and all this other stuff. All this stuff that these Targaryens do to sort of have the appearance that they have control over these dragons, but they still are animals, and I don't think we know to the full extent how much control they have over them. And I think we're really going to see that put to the test in later episodes this season and potentially next season, when we start to see, once we start getting these dragon riders, start mounting them. They're just dropping some hints out there. I mean, we've actually already been introduced to some of them who will ride dragons, and
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And some of them, stuff happens.
It's like they're, brilliant idea by Jace, by the way.
Yeah, for sure.
Brilliant. Like he's a guy who reads his books, for sure. Unlike Aegon. I was gonna say, shit. I guess they're their cousins though. Like, I guess they're looking for like bastard children, cousins. Like,
yeah, and I think
people like who are not direct lineage, but
Yeah, and potentially, I don't know how true or real this could be, but Balon, who is Viserys and Daemon's father. If you recall, I think it was episode 3. There was a guy who was talking about him being a bastard to Balon. Which if you do the history of you trace their family tree, it doesn't seem very plausible, but the show that has changed stuff. So he may actually be indeed a bastard of Balon, which would make him a brother to Daemon. All these names. Damn it. All right. So moving on to basically what this episode is named after, Regent. Mm-hmm. A new person is going to be named Regent this episode. We're moving to King's Landing. We find out that Aegon is still alive. He was roasted alive, reverse searing method, for all my cooks out there. Like I said, man, you're going to get all the quips. My guy was looking like Darth Vader. Them pulling the skin, pulling the
rough, man.
Yeah, that looked horrible.
He was so much in shock. He wasn't even phased. No screams. No, he can't do nothing. Like I said, scorched, paralyzed to shit. Is that PC? I don't
know. Somebody may be effing. I don't know. Sorry. I guess Tamika has plausible deniability by not saying it. So the council meets and there's a discussion about like who should rule in his stead. Now, Alicent being so confident, she was so confident in the scene and standing up and saying it should be me. Like it was a foregone conclusion that they were going to like just pick her because she had done it previously when Viserys was on his deathbed. And I've ruled before. I got this. I should be Queen Regent. And they were like, hold on, not so fast, my friend. They're like, what would it say if we name you Queen Regent when we're already fighting a war against Rhaenyra because she wants to be queen as a woman? We can't stand for that.
Does that make sense?
Like that we're being hypocritical. Ironically, you are hypocritical as well. Coming, from one of the biggest hypocrites in the show.
Yeah.
And I guess the question here is, obviously Aemon is going to be named Regent during this period because he is the brother, he is male. It just makes all the sense in the world. But I guess what does it say about Alicent that her two biggest allies, Sir Kristen, who she's given the cookies to, and Larys, who she's given the footies to, don't want to back her. Like, I don't know. It's just like, what does it say about Alicent that these two, even though she's doing all this stuff for them,
I guess it ain't that good.
Man.
These are jokes, guys.
Man, don't take us too seriously.
These are jokes.
We don't
this
take
episode is already off the rails,
I know.
so you gonna get these jokes. Philosophically,
I think it shows that they're very strategic. Homie that likes the foots, he has always been about strategy. So I think that there's lack of loyalty. I think they're only loyal to a point as long as they can get something that they need. Yeah. As soon as they don't see essentially what's in it for them, it's like, well, this actually, it works out better for me if Aemon is in this position right now, for one reason or another. So,
they're all using each other, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah. But Alicent is clearly not doing it.
Yeah, she's not doing it right at all. Like, what are you giving this up for if you're not getting anything back? close it off. It's done.
I think they do kind of close it off. I think their conversation kind of closed it off.
Kristen is only messing with her because he's still mad at Rhaenyra. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like revenge sex.
That's
Think about it.
I get what you're saying. Yeah,
but I'm asking like, what is Alicent getting in return? I don't know.
I mean, she's obviously not getting anything out of.
I was gonna say good sloppy jalopy, I guess.
Oh my gosh. Well, she also took him to Splash Town.
I don't think that works.
Okay. Anyways, she gave him the waterworks.
Okay, but like honestly, like getting back to a serious note, what is Alicent supposed to be getting from them that she's not getting? I guess loyalty in this council and just any kind of backing. Like you said.
Well, yeah, I think this was like the perfect time for them to back her. You know, they're like, nah, we're. But I think, well, one, Sir Kristen has a relationship with Aemon. Like going back to episode 1, you saw them sort of plotting this. And Larys, he has his ulterior motives. Like I've seen, people online sort of, the rumor is that, Larys sort of knew that from episode 1, what are those 2 names? The guys that were going to kill Jaehaerys?
Rat and cheese.
Yeah, right.
Or no, blood and cheese.
Blood and cheese. That he knew about it and he allowed it to happen. There's, like a lot of people online have speculated about that. Yeah. So, Larys, he's in my how I view him as like as a little finger type of character who's sort of like conniving, and I don't think he necessarily has a side. I think he's just looking out for himself and doing what's best for him. So
exactly.
In many respects, they are just using Alicent. And I think it's sort of setting in with Alicent, especially when we get that sort of pushing shot of her where it's just solely focused on her reaction. And I think it's probably like a 2-minute.
It lingers.
Yeah, just lingering on her face.
A good linger though, because it's just like, I felt tension just watching her sit there and just hyperventilate. Like I was getting anxious with her. I'm like, oh,
I was so anxious. Like I was like, I feel like in that moment I felt the emotion that she was feeling in that moment. Cause it's like, you don't hear anything that's going on. You just fuming. You're just fuming. And you're just like, oh, I want to say something so bad. Now I got to hold my composure. I was waiting for her to go off. I really was waiting for her.
And it's the juxtaposition to Rhaenyra earlier. We didn't speak about this in the council meeting in their council meeting at Dragonstone with Sir Alfred, and he's like, what do you say? He's like, man, the gentler sex.
Right. I was like, there it is, right there.
And she has the freedom to speak her mind, speak her truth. Just like, yo, you ain't go to war. We all been in peace, bitch. What you talking about? And she sets them straight. And here she cannot do that. And I love that juxtaposition between them.
And I also think that it's setting in with Alicent. One, the fact that she's probably the biggest culprit in this whole thing, of maybe besides of Otto, of this whole thing going sort of belly up, like of them going into war. Like she's number 2 easily as the biggest reason why, why the blacks and the greens are fighting against each other. And 2, I think she in this moment realizes her own hypocrisy in the fact that she's fighting a war against Rhaenyra because she's a woman, essentially. And, she's fighting against her claim to the throne. And when she stands up for her claim to be named as regent, she sees how it affects her as well. So I think in a very weird way, she, in a brief moment, understands how Rhaenyra feels with them sort of rejecting her as being Queen Regent.
But I agree. I'm also thinking, do you think there's some level of fear of Aemon? Like,
well, that was going to be my next question.
Oh,
like,
please continue.
well, no. Well, I mean, go ahead. I mean, do you think there's a fear of what Aemon is capable of, or what he is going to do moving forward?
I think so, especially with Sir Kristen. I don't know about everybody else yet, but they all know he's like a loose cannon.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that plays a role, because I think at this point, for the most part, they want to stay on his
good side.
Yeah, it's just like, I don't want to do anything to poke the bear, because I don't quite know what he's capable of yet, but I know he's crazy. So let me just stick to this side first until I can figure out like my fight or flight type of thing.
Yeah, it's crazy how shook Sir Kristen is, considering that they were plotting together, and then the whole thing happened, and he sees, I guess he sees the lengths that Aemon is willing to go, right, to get that seat, and it's disturbing to him, and he's really scared to say anything wrong.
Which is kind of crazy, because I mean, we've seen what Sir Kristen is capable of doing as well. So if it shook him, I think also too, as he mentioned too, it's just like most of these people have not seen dragons fight. Like this is the first time that they're seeing it happen, and I think he's just in horror of like
what he helped unleash.
Yeah, what he helped unleash. I saw somewhere online that Sir Kristen is like Oppenheimer, and it's just that he sort of helped build these. He didn't even help build these dragons, but he helped unleash these weapons of mass destruction onto the world, and he's seeing for himself single-handedly what they are capable of, and is like, we are effed. Either way, like there's no coming back from this. This is global annihilation in a sense of Westeros. What this is going to mean for them. So
it's like Aemond, Harry Truman, or
all right. It's a great movie, by the way. If anybody's hasn't seen it, I don't know. Tamika, have you seen it?
I saw half of it. It's a
very long movie. It's very long, but I never felt like in a weird way. I know we're going off topic.
I didn't feel the long.
I did not. I didn't feel like the length of that movie, because I was so invested into it, and the way that they edited it, and the way that it was written, the way it jumped back and forth between time periods. Yeah, like I feel like it was so well done.
I have a 2-year-old.
Oh, okay. That's all you needed to say. we got the message. But yeah, that pretty much covers everything from episode 5. Can't believe we're on episode 6, man. It's kind of crazy. Like more than halfway done. We only got 3 more of these left.
Yeah.
We didn't really talk about one character or scene, and that is Hugh Hammer. I know his scenes have been sort of thrown in there, kind of not haphazardly, but they kind of been like, for most people watching it, they've kind of probably been more throwaway scenes. Like, should we care about this guy? But he does give a glimpse into the world of the townspeople and what they are experiencing. They have no food, disease. We're seeing the impacts that this war is having on them. And I can tell you this, that he's going to play a more pivotal role moving forward in the next episodes here. So I know that his scenes so far have been sort of
minimal.
Minimal, but his character is going to play more of a pivotal role moving forward.
Well, what his reasons. I think this is what they set up.
Yeah, exactly. We know his motivations.
Like,
essentially,
you see his daughter. His daughter is gray. She's about to die. She's gonna die. Basically, by like next episode for sure.
Maybe she's gonna turn into a walker.
No.
I don't think.
I don't think that's.
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe she'll. I don't know. But yeah, I think you see what they're setting up for him and his reasoning. But like you said, it also is a look into what the townspeople are feeling. You troll out of Dragonhead, you try to claim your victories, and they don't, more than just like oh man, a dragon's dead, and that being a bad omen. It's just like, yo, we can't eat, bro. Like, there's no food. The lemons are molding. Like, they have mold on them. We can't eat, even though Kristen has a perfectly good lemon that he's just using to clean his sword. But everybody else has to go and try to find actual good food. They
that's
want meat.
A very good point, though. I didn't even think about that until you just said it. Because I'll be honest, when I saw the lemon, I was just like, oh, that's a really good idea to get like really tough stains. I should start. I didn't even think about the fact that people are starving and you're using a lemon to clean your sword.
Yeah, just in general. I mean, you look at, they can still throw feasts and have good food, and you just look at the townspeople and how they're struggling. I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know, like middle-class Americans and
sounds familiar.
I know it doesn't.
No, crazy.
It's crazy. But anyways, just wrapping it up here. Overall feelings on episode 5.
Yeah, I know most people are not gonna like this episode because of the slowness. Nothing really happened, but once again, I thought every scene for me was. I thought it was written really well. I loved every scene. And once again, it's just one of those setup episodes, even though they've had these setup episodes pretty much. But they do this in a way where Game of Thrones couldn't. And I don't know what it is about like how they write these scenes that makes you just appreciate them talking to each other.
Well, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I do want to say, I think we may be a little bit biased here because of the way Game of Thrones ended.
That's true. Because seasons 1 and season 2, they did do that well.
Yeah, I was going to say there are some really good moments of just characters talking. Yeah. I mean, for the vast majority of season 1, that's all it is. It's just characters talking. They had such a limited budget that they couldn't even do like the battle scenes or nothing like that. So I agree with you that the writing on the show and the dialogue is just as good as the early seasons of Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and that's maybe why, because it's been a while since we've had that. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, the show does it well, and I'm thinking, it does it better, but that's because season 5 through 8 was terrible within that context. But yeah, I thought it was a good episode. Like, it's not the strongest episode ever. I'm sure people were bored by it, but I was enthralled by it for sure.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I liked the episode. I mean, it definitely drops off from the last episode.
Yeah.
Where you have a lot of like action. So it definitely slows down from there. It's like it goes up and then it comes down. So you're just coming down off that high of the fight. But I still enjoyed the episode.
Yeah. And you see like the consequences. You have to set up these consequences to see what's coming next.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I mean, because in order for action to matter, characters have to matter, and they do a great job of setting up these characters. So when the action does take place, it's just not noise. It's just like you are actually invested in these characters. And even though I knew what was going to happen to Rhaenys in the previous episode, I was still invested in her as a character because of the writing and also because of Eve Best and her performance as Rhaenys. Like Danny said, is it the strongest episode ever? No. Will people find it, pretty, I mean, especially compared to last episode, will it be boring instead of slow and drawn out? Yes. But as we've seen so far, they do a great job of like setting up everything. So when shit does go down, like it makes sense.
And it matters more.
It matters more. And they've earned it. Like they've earned the right to kill off a character. Or they've earned the payoff because they set it up properly. So yeah, that's going to do it for our review of episode 5, Regent. We'll see you guys next week. We'll review the next episode. I don't know. Did they say the name? I don't even know if they released the name of the next episode yet. But episode 6, we'll be back to review it and break it all down. Don't forget to like and subscribe and also leave comments. We'll respond. And I don't know what the hell is Danny's doing. But
I'm doing my response.
He's playing you out.
We'll like and respond. And, we'll enjoy it, the dialogue and back and forth, and let us know what you guys think. And
like, follow, subscribe, guys.
And just also too, I just do want to say appreciate everyone that has been watching the YouTube. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's not like this overwhelming number of people that have been watching it, but it's been more than I thought.
Honestly.
So thank you.
So I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Seriously.
And the people that watch our reels and the people that like our reels and everything, it's greatly appreciated. We're gonna just continue to get better and work on it and continue to grow this thing. But until next time, film fans, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.